I call Sarah Champion.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I welcome this bill, which brings us one step closer to establishing this much-needed, publicly owned energy company. To quote the Energy Secretary at the UN General Assembly, this is a government that is willing to tell the truth and show international leadership when it comes to climate change. In this spirit, I'd like to bring the attention of the House to the importance of upholding human rights and the principles of just transition in our renewable energy supplies. I'm heartened by our frontbenchers' determination to see human rights protected across our energy transition. When questioned on forced labour in the solar industry, the Business Secretary stated that he expects and demands no modern slavery in any part of the supply chain. In a similar vein, the Minister for Development recently spoke about galvanising just energy transition partnerships to make sure that everyone feels the benefit of green innovation. While GB Energy must ensure that everyone benefits from green innovation, it must also guarantee that no one suffers from it. However, I have grave concerns that if we charge ahead with our net zero transition without safeguards in place, we will be knowingly doing that on the backs of those in slavery. And let me outline why. Wind turbines, solar panels, electric vehicles and battery storage all require large quantities of critical minerals. There is conclusive evidence of human rights abuses associated with critical minerals. The abuse is most severe and systemic in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region of China. Here, the Chinese government is systematically persecuting millions of Uyghur, Turkic and Muslim-majority peoples on the basis of their religion and ethnicity. It is well documented that the lower tiers of our solar supply chains are concentrated here and have a sinister dependency on state-imposed Uyghur forced labour programmes. These programmes have bolstered China's global market share, which exceeds 80% across the whole of the solar PV supply chain. Madam Deputy Speaker, I raise these concerns not to undermine our business relationship with China, but because through our purchasing power of GB Energy, we can protect human rights around the world. I will, of course, give way to my friend.
I'm grateful to my honourable friend. She said she doesn't want to undermine our commercial relationship with China. I do. China is carrying out genocide of the Uyghurs. It's an appalling country. It has an appalling leadership, I should be precise. It is trying to monopolise crucial supply chains around the world in order to oppress people. Surely we should be reducing our relationship and making ourselves independent.
I appreciate that my honourable friend has put that on the record. I think what we need to be doing is reducing our dependency, some might say stranglehold, on China for some of our most critical resources. Yes.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way. I agree with her in relation to China, but would she agree with me that actually we should be looking at domestic production of critical minerals, tin, lithium, tungsten, manganese? In Cornwall we have plenty, and we're very hopeful that the GB Energy Bill will support the opportunities that they offer.
I completely agree with the comments my honourable friend has made, and that should be, in my mind, what GB Energy is doing. It is using its purchasing power around the world to increase human rights, good working conditions, for example, but also it needs to be supporting British-based businesses, because more than ever before, I think our businesses need that support. Because what we need to be doing is applying pressure on all of our trading partners around the world to improve standards, not just China. There are allegations of child labour in the DRC cobalt mining for EV batteries, and evidence of labour exploitation in nickel processing in Indonesia. And with these examples in mind, I ask the House a simple question. Do we turn a blind eye to modern slavery in our energy supply chains, or do we lead the way with a just transition. As our Chancellor outlined in her conference speech, this government is calling time on the days when governments stood back and turned a blind eye to where things are made and who makes them. It's vital that we follow up her words with real, meaningful action, because as it currently stands, we are a global outlier. In 2021, the US enacted the Uyghur Forced Labour Prevention Act, banning the importation of products from the Uyghur region, including shipments of solar panels with connections to Shenzhen. This has been highly effective, with the market responding with new, ethical supply chains. Canada and Mexico have followed suit with similar regulations. In 2024, the EU passed the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, which will ensure that companies prevent and address the adverse human rights impacts of their actions.
Would my right honourable friend give way?
I will, of course.
Thank you very much for giving way. I'm grateful for the possibility to just consider a little bit that the regulations that she's talking about that other countries have established actually apply to all companies. And that seems to me the way that we should be going. Rather than simply saying we would focus on one company, GB Energy, this should be the kind of sectoral approach in terms of our high ethical standards that we can create ourselves as an international leader, rather than simply focusing on one company.
My honourable friend preempts me, because absolutely this will only work if we do it across the whole of government, in all of the sectors, and I want my government to be leading the way on that. We have a hugely important role to play internationally on this, as well as in our own industries. Because what's happening is the UK's failure to keep pace with our partners has resulted in the global supply chain splitting. Slave-made renewable products are being redirected to countries with weaker regulations, like the UK. As the Other Place Select Committee recently recognised, without forced labour import bans, the UK risks becoming a dumping ground for tainted products. Current regulations, such as the Modern Slavery and Procurement Acts, cannot meet the scale of the problem alone, especially while human rights due diligence remains optional for companies. I appreciate the Department is looking into these issues through the Solar Task Force with its upcoming solar roadmap, which I really welcome. However, I urge the Minister that the Solar Task Force, made up mostly of industry voices, needs to have civil society and trade unions on the team for its work to be truly credible. This is especially the case given concerns I have regarding Solar Energy UK's Solar Stewardship Initiative, sorry, someone with a lisp, the SSI, as I am doubtful an industry-led solution can meet the scale of the challenges I have outlined today. A just transition is not only about international workers' rights, but it's also about securing UK jobs and industry. Our energy strategy must prioritise green jobs and wealth creation here and avoid fuelling growth and in economies known for cutting corners. In discussions I've had with the industry and unions, it's clear that the UK inadequate response to these issues is creating a competitive disadvantage for businesses here, an uneven playing field internationally. If GB Energy allows exposure to state-imposed forced labour, it creates a distinct risk for investments and businesses here in the UK. Madam Deputy Speaker, the arguments I've laid out today have the support of unions, of businesses and human rights advocates alike. They echo the sentiments of our Prime Minister, Foreign Secretary, Business Secretary and Energy Secretary. For too many years, tackling modern slavery has received a siloed, disjointed response from government. We now have an opportunity to change that and work to embrace cross-departmental, collaborative working. Renewable energy has a key role to play in our transformation to a low-carbon economy, but without placing human rights at its centre, our green transition will come at a grave cost. This bill is aptly named the Great British Energy Bill. It simply cannot live up to its name if it depends on modern slavery to achieve its aims.